Hello and welcome to Paranormal Versus again. Um,
So, what you all missed was I thought we went live and we were talking, starting, everything. And then I realized I forgot to go live. So, my bad.
yeah, so I done really, really well there, and then it weren't even live, so now we're going to have to start all over again. But anyway, as I was saying before, we've got an amazing new intro. Thanks to the music of Matt Atkinson. So I just want to thank him for that. And as I said also before, that we've been off for a few shows. Michael had a family thing on the first one, and then the second one I was in hospital, so I couldn't do it. So here we are. Next week we're back to a normal schedule, and next Thursday we've got Brian Laverty on the show. So tonight we're gonna ask questions because it's just me and Michael tonight. So we're gonna interview each other. So that should be fun. Anybody that's got any questions, please do it in the comments. And yeah, we'll get to you.
And also, I got to give a shout out to Kel for the video and the intro. That was all her. She thinks it's okay. I like it. I think it's cool.
Thank you. I'm just laughing because we've been through all this.
I know. So now y'all are caught up where we were.
Hi, Scott. Right. So anyway, Michael, who's going first?
Uh, well, I guess I can go first.
Go on then. Shoot.
So, Kel, you mentioned in your bio at age 9 you saw an apparition, and I
Yeah.
was just curious, what did it look like?
It looked like a little girl sitting against the wall. It wasn't solid, like from what I remember, but it was dark, and you could just see like a little strip of light coming through the curtains. So when I seen it, I thought it was my friend. That's all I thought, and I went and touched her, and my hand went through. So it was, yeah, quite scary, especially for a child.
Yep. Okay, folks in the chat room, if you could please give StreamYard access to your identity, we could properly say hello. Otherwise, it just comes up as Facebook user.
If you kind of do that, just put your name in brackets or something so we know who you are. Right.
But
So
this is
it's
gonna
going to
be
be
such
one
a
of those.
fun
It's going to
episode.
be one of those nights tonight, isn't it? Oh, it's going to be hilarious. Right. Is that all you want to ask us, or
That was my first question.
okay? Right. So, how old were you when you first had your paranormal experience?
2 years old is when I had my first one. I was in an attic of a 2-story home at the basement, and I fell down the shaft or was pulled in by a spirit into the shaft and got up from the bottom concrete basement with just a cut on my eyebrow. And it wasn't until much later that I started piecing together what was going on during the fall. And our guest, Catherine, that was on the show, she helped me figure out as well some pieces of it, new pieces. So, still learning about it.
Cool.
Good evening,
Uh,
nickname.
hello. Um, hi, whoever you are. Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those shows tonight.
Yep.
Right.
All right. So, this one, my next question, Kel, is from our own private talks that we share stuff.
Okay.
So, do you feel being a history nerd impacts you as an investigator? And if so, how?
Yeah, I do, because knowing the history that I do know, and being able to dig history out that like nobody else can, it really helps because then you get to know what actually happened, and it gives you a bit more like relevance to your investigations. You find out it's more proof if that makes sense. So being a history nerd, it actually really does help.
I agree. It does help, and it's funny that you call yourself history nerd because I just say I'm into history.
Yeah, I get a little bit geeky about it. I go a bit too far, like find like little rabbit holes to go down when it comes to the history and stuff like that. So get a little bit obsessive.
Always got to. So, hello to Adam Sander, Regina Nicholson, and let's see. Oh yeah, it's my turn for
It's
a
your turn.
question.
Okay. What has been your most exciting paranormal experience to date?
Ooh, my most exciting one to date. So I would have to say when we were at Fort Walters preparing it for a haunted house, I was in the building with the two owners, and we were cleaning up and some people were on the other side of the building, and I walked past this door and I hear this lady scream. I'm like literally like a loud scream, like in pain. And so I go and I find the owners and I'm like, who was in the hallway just now screaming? And she goes, nobody's in the hallway and nobody screamed. I was like, I definitely heard a scream. And then it wasn't like probably a month or two later, other people that were helping to set up started saying they were hearing female scream. And so I was like, yes, I did hear a scream. It wasn't my imagination.
Yay. You're not crazy.
I know.
Yay.
Oh, we have a question from the chat room. So I'm going to assume it's for both of us. So, what is your top paranormal case in the world and why?
Gonna let you go first, Michael.
Ooh, top paranormal case. I would have to say, in the views of that, would be Fort Walters again, because there we had an incident where I was investigating with the team and this doll started laughing. I mean, it sounded like a recorded laugh. And none of the dolls in the room had any batteries, any power supply. And we could, every time we would line up, face different ways, none of us could agree where the sound was coming from. To this day, we still cannot identify this sound. It's actually now being heard in different rooms.
Interesting. Well, mine, I think it was I owned a tattoo studio, so that was when I seen a full body apparition in there. So that we got my first team in, who I was part of, and we had EVPs because it used to be an old like cinema. So we had EVPs. If someone saying shh, and like we got it on obviously camera that the music was constantly turning down when we were turning it up, and they had no remote controls back then or nothing like that. So yeah, we got somebody swearing on EVP as well, like a man. So I think he was getting angry, like we were turning the music up and meeting the loud noise. And the guy I actually seen looked like he was from the 1940s, that sort of dress. So yeah, that was the most interesting one that I've been on.
All right. So, hey, Matt, appreciate you sharing this out. And nickname, we're going to get to your question, but first, I think we're going to do another round of asking each other questions. And
Yeah.
so, my question to you, Kel, is what drew you to create Paranormal Verses?
I had been doing a podcast before with Stephen Woodard. He persuaded us to go into doing podcasts, which I didn't want to do because I'm, like I say, I'm quite camera shy. So it wasn't the sort of thing I ever wanted to do, be in front of the camera. So he persuaded us to do it. So I decided to try it out, and I didn't think I'd like it, to be quite honest. And then I did, done quite a few episodes with him. And then for personal reasons, I had to back out. And then a little while later, I was like, right, I really want to do this. So that's when I reached out to Michael, told him I was going to be doing the podcast, and obviously that's the whole story behind that. And here we are.
Oh, that took care of another question of mine.
So, do you believe in orbs, or do you just think that the dust or spirit manifestations?
Okay, say that again.
Do you believe in orbs?
Oh, orbs.
Orbs, yeah. Well, sorry, my dodgy accent.
No, it's. I was just making sure. I was like, we were talking about the same thing. So, I do believe there are orbs. Excuse me, and sometimes it is dust, but when I see a speck that's going like across, up, down, and then turn around, that's not dust. Dust doesn't do that. So I would definitely say orbs are real because I've seen faces in orbs, I've seen numbers or words. So I would definitely say orbs are a communication from the other side.
Cool.
All right. So nickname is asking, what do you think about other high strangeness in the paranormal, i.e., UFO cryptid connection? Ooh, I'll let you start.
Obviously there's this thing that like Bigfoot and Sasquatch and that have got something to do with UFOs and stuff like that, or jump into different like portals and stuff like that. So I don't know, I haven't really looked into it that much myself, to be fair, but I have spoken to quite a few people that do believe in that. So that's my take on it anyway. How about you, Michael?
So I'm going to put the question back up again so I don't lose track of focus. I would say UFOs and cryptids are connected. And one of the reasons why, for me personally, is I am one of those that believes that there are UFO bases here because they just appear and disappear, too frequently. And our technology changes super fast. So I do feel like there is a connection to that. And the cryptids, I believe, are either Middle Earth or visitors, and that's why we can never find their home, is because they don't actually live here. They're visiting just like we are, is my personal take. Okay, so with that being said, we have, let me get caught up on the comments about the orbs. Oh, hey, Jockey. And thank you for sharing us out. And let's see. We have a question from Adam Sandor. And I'm not sure if Adam's question is along the same lines or different, so we'll interpret it as we choose. He says, do you believe that there's a link between most aspects of the paranormal? So I would say through spirits, I'd say yes, because some of the spirits that we think are ghosts may actually be people, and we're just seeing a glimpse through the paranormal, or not paranormal, parallel dimensions. And so we're seeing a glimpse into them and they're seeing a glimpse into us. That's why we both kind of get this shocked look on our face because we realize we can see each other. And like the triangles, I mean, there's just so many things that you just cannot explain that I think are connected in the ley lines. So yeah, I could go on for a long time on that, Adam, but I'm going to turn it over to Kel so I don't own the show.
No, be my guest. I don't, like I say, I mean, unless I see something personally, I don't really 100% believe. I'm quite skeptical with things. So I don't really know how I feel about that. Obviously, there is some things, like I just said before, that I do think are connected, like obviously the Sasquatch and stuff like that. But I think that's along the lines that you were going for. But yeah, I've got to see physical evidence to link things, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
I probably sounded stupid there.
No, not at all. I kind of agree, and I kind of think along the same lines. So, hello to Warren, who's joining us. And so, let's see.
It
Kel,
was,
you mentioned in 2023 you're coming to the States,
yeah.
meaning the United States.
Hmm.
So, how long will you be in the United States, and do you have a plan or itinerary of places to go and investigate or visit?
Yes, I will be coming over in October. The plan is for 4 weeks, but it might be extended a little bit longer. It depends on the people I'm staying with. Um, we will be, because the people I am staying with are paranormal people, so I will be going investigating, and we've been like arranging different bits and pieces that we will be doing. So it's going to be fun. I
Weird.
cannot wait. I literally cannot wait. Yeah. I'm not going to say, like, obviously at the minute who the people are, because they're quite private. So it's a family I'm staying with. So, and they've been so kind to actually invite us to go and stay with them. So really
Yeah.
happy about that.
No, yeah, I definitely respect that, and that's all we need to say about that. So,
So I guess it's my turn then.
yes, it is.
When did you realize you wanted to make a career out of the paranormal field?
When did I realize I wanted to meet the creator of the paranormal field?
Sorry, my accent again. When did you realize you wanted to make a career out of the
Oh, a
paranormal?
career.
Yes.
Um, well, funny you should mention that. That's actually been the, I would say, about 4 years ago, maybe five, when I was going around and investigating places and then seeing people that are brought in to investigate. And I was like, man, this would be a fun job to have of going from place to place and investigate it and meet new people. And so, yeah, I was at that point, I would say the seed of making a career out of it was planted. And I've just been taking little steps here and there along the lines. But I'm also one of those, though, that I know there's a lot of people that don't like a lot of the paranormal investigators that go on TV and get famous and start doing all of that. And for me, what was drawing me to do it was so that I could get access to places and bring people who normally wouldn't get access to those locations, help them get in and investigate with them.
Yeah.
So my goal was to more help those in the field with it than worrying about, going, okay, yeah, so I can get a house over here or a boat over there. I'm like, yeah, I'm not too interested in that.
Mm.
I'm more interested in the helping people.
Yeah. That's good. Sorry, I was just like laughing at the comments there. Nickname says I need subtitles, which is actually right. I mean,
I,
for doing the show, I do slow my accent down quite a bit because there's a lot of people from the States that don't understand us. But I think you've got used to us, haven't you, Michael, a little bit?
I have it. It's kind of funny because this is our 10th episode. And this is the first time I've actually not been able to understand fully what you're saying. And it's like kind of making me laugh, going, what is going on today? And it's like my mind is like not hearing it right.
Yeah, I'm probably like, with us not being here for a couple of weeks, I'm probably just going back into my old routine of the way I talk, forgetting
But
to slow it down a little bit.
I'd say only missing 2 words, though, I'm doing really well.
Yeah, that's true. It could be worse. There's a lot of people that cannot understand where at all. So,
Yeah. So, Facebook user, again, please, or maybe it's
Matt,
Matt A,
it's Matt. Yeah.
is saying, do you believe that only certain people can see ghosts and apparitions, or everyone can see them?
Do you want to go first or shall I?
I would say for me, my personal experience is it's 50-50 on that. And reason I say that is some people are open and trusting of what they see and hear, and so they can probably see the ghosts and apparitions faster than other people.
Yeah.
But when people see something and then start to question it, yeah, I think that's when you start to have trouble, and then the spirits pick up on your fear of seeing or hearing, and so they hold back. And so I think it's all on your intentions and comfortability.
Yeah. With me, I think that a lot of people that I've actually spoken to and investigators and stuff like that, they've had some sort of like trauma in their life. There's a lot of them that's had near death experiences, and they seem them sort of people, me included, Michael, you included, have had paranormal experiences that see them quite a lot. So I don't know if it's connected to like obviously near death experiences or stuff like that. That we get to see them a hell of a lot more than what normal people do. Not that they're not normal, but you know what I mean.
Right, I do, and I would say, yeah, that's probably a huge part of it too. Is we've had our perception filter, so to speak, changed by that experience. So yeah, that goes along with being more comfortable and believing what you're seeing, and so you'll see more. So let's see. I think there was another question in the. Oh, yep. So nickname is saying, "Who do you both admire in this field?"
I know who I don't admire.
So I'm gonna think by admire. I think she means look up to,
Hmm.
not like admiration of like getting all Google eyed or something.
Yeah. With me, I think it's Steve Shippey, Prozac, I think he's called, with his Haunted and Saginaw programs. I absolutely love them. I really, really want to do like an interview with him. Like, yeah, because I quite like his stuff. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows who he is. But do you know who he is, Michael?
I think I've heard of the show, but I haven't watched it.
No, you need to watch it. You need to watch them. Actually, it was some of the best ones I've seen for a long time. So that's who I sort of look up to. And also I do actually look up to other investigators that don't go around treading on other teams and stuff like that. So, like I say, everybody that like supports each other, I look up to everybody like that as well.
Yeah. So for me, nickname, I have such a long list because there's a lot of people who have taken chances on me and helping me to grow. But I would say off the top of my hand, one would be Stephen Woodard. because he has helped me to understand some techniques and believing in myself. Because, I mean, otherwise, I doubt I'd even be on this show. So,
I agree with that as well, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing podcasting. So it's his fault. Let's all blame him.
and I would say another person that I admire is George and Kara Shoplin and Kell. Those would be.
Did you just say Kel there? Or am I just like hearing things?
I did. I was seeing if you would pick it up. I just wanted to see your reaction. But no, I do admire you. You do
Thank
a
you.
lot.
I don't do that much. I'm sorry, I've just seen like a comment there and it just made us chuckle. Can you see it? The Robert the Bruce one, Michael.
No, I'm behind in the comments because I was like stopping it so if I didn't miss questions. Let's see, where is it?
It's Facebook user.
I see nickname saying throwing a word for us, Michael. I'm not sure what she's referring
I
to.
think she wants you to throw a Geordie bird in, I think. But it's further down in the chat. It's basically a Facebook user says, I see Robert the Bruce's 22nd great granddaughter's in the house again tonight.
Oh, yep, I see it now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yes, we do genealogy research, and that is something that we're finding out about, and I think does have an impact on the paranormal.
Yeah. Anything to do with history, I think is absolutely amazing anyway. But to find out that Robert the Bruce's 22nd great granddaughter is got to be the highlight of my life at the minute.
Yeah. But I would say, I think I know what nickname's talking about, and yes, I do appreciate Jordy Supernatural. Is that what it is, or your group?
Jodie's Supernatural Research.
Right. And 12th Dimension with Andy Booth, and nickname is one of the admins for that.
Yeah.
And all my friends in the UK. So shout out to them because I admire you guys too because you guys allow me to come on to your programs every once in a while. And so I appreciate that and enjoy the sharing back and forth. So huge shout out to you guys over there. And I think it's time for another round of our questions.
Whose turn was it?
I think we've been going with me starting and then you second, unless you want
Right.
to switch
No,
it up.
no. Go for it.
All right. So this one is going to be, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to explain it well. I may have to explain it a little bit. But what type of paranormal claims do you come across and say to yourself, I need to research that or investigate that?
Virtually all of them. It's like if there's any claims that come up, I like to look into them myself. As I've already said, I'm one of these people. I'm very skeptical, so I do it for the actual research. So, like I say, I virtually got to research everything. So, if that's what your question was, my train of
No,
thought's just gone.
no, that's cool because I know some people are like, I only, interested in a certain part of the field, and so that's what I was curious about: is if it's everything or just specific things. So no, that's cool that you research it all.
Yeah, like I say, I like to get myself stuck down these rabbit holes of research and stuff like that, and the history, and as I've already said. So yeah, enjoy all that. Right, you. Do any of your family believe in the paranormal or the skeptics?
So my parents believe in the paranormal, and I have some family members that are more open to it. Like I have a cousin that's I found out getting into the paranormal, and so that was really cool to learn. As for the rest of the family, it's just something that they kind of know I do, but don't really want to engage in it, so we don't talk
Yeah.
about it. So
Mm.
honestly, I couldn't tell you if they do or don't. It's just seems to be one of those topics you just don't discuss.
Yeah, it used to be worse, I think, years ago. Like it was a taboo subject, but now people are becoming more open to it. So
I agree. And
yeah.
with that, I think we're going to lead. That's a good lead into Jockey's question. Do you think spirit moves faster or slower than us in their parallel dimension?
Obviously, in other, I mean, Earth is the only place apparently that has a concept of time. So, I mean, from what I know, time doesn't exist in other places, or it goes backwards. From what the scientists have told us. So, I don't know. There's loads of things I've been told. So, does time really exist? That's another question you can ask yourself. So, do things go faster? You know what I mean? Confusing myself here.
No, I followed along, and yeah, and I kind of agree too. Is I think time is a not a natural construct. It's something that we created. And so in other dimensions, they may have different style of time than we have,
Hmm.
where they may be like the sun up is daytime and sun goes down, that's night, that's it. There's no hours, there's no like time of day, it's just fluid motion. And so I would have to say I would imagine though that it probably moves faster for them because they're not putting limitations on it like we do, to where we're thinking, oh man, that 13 seconds was really long. And to them, it could have been like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So I would
interesting.
say perception is key, and they may be more aware than we are. And so it could, in essence, be longer or faster. So that's a good question, Jockey. I'd have to actually think some more on that. And so, next question that I came across was nickname saying, "Are spirits residual energy or trapped or both?"
Do you want to go first?
I can.
Go on then.
So, I would say yes to residual. I'm skeptical on the trapped part because energy, as we know it, can neither be created or destroyed. So, how can we trap it? And I know I'm probably going to get heat for this from people, but I truly believe that the spirits and the ghosts can go wherever they want and they choose to hang around certain places. But I have heard, EVPs where they say they're trapped, but I don't. I feel like they're trapped because of something they're afraid of, not the energy of the place itself.
Yeah. With me, I think it's a bit of a bit get my words out right. A bit of both. Like obviously you have ghosts. Like they're just like residual, like they're the stone tape theory type of thing, where they're just a replay. And then the spirits who are actually intelligent, you get intelligent responses of them. So I think maybe there's a bit of both out there from the stuff that I've seen anyway. I mean, I've seen them where they've just looked straight past you and kept on going, or like there's like EVPs, not that actually answer your questions and stuff like that, spirit boxes and intelligent answers. So yeah,
All right. Cool. So, hello to Anthony and Corrine. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up with the chat group. I know I'm a bit behind. So my next question to you, Kel, is what is your ideal number of teammates to investigate with?
Hmm. I was on a team with about 18 away at one point. That was a bit chaotic. Then I was on a team with 6 of we, and I think that was like the perfect number. Wasn't too many, wasn't, you know what I mean? So we all had a job to do in that team. So I think around about 6 at the moment. There's only 3 we in supernatural, Jodie's supernatural research. But for a while there was only 2 we. So yeah, I definitely think around about 6 is a really good number.
Cool. All right. So what's your next question for me?
Oh, okay, my turn. Wow. Um, have you ever seen a full body apparition?
Ooh, full body. I would have to say, honestly, no. But I have seen apparitions.
Right.
That's just
Oh,
like I've seen waist up in motion, or I've seen shadow, but I couldn't say clearly I've seen a full apparition. Not yet.
right. So what was it that you actually seen that was like halfway up?
So I was at an event where we were in the crematorium of a mental hospital. And so I saw this white jacket, and it looked like could have been a lady with a white coat on running. And I was thinking, oh boy, this person's going to come through the door and interrupt. And we have a guest here that's in the middle of doing something. So, how do I stop them from interrupting without causing a scene? To then realize the windows were blocked, so I couldn't have seen them outside. They were inside, and they never came through the door, and they just disappeared just as she finished what she was doing.
Oh,
So, yeah.
cool. Ever got any more questions? Yeah, we'll have
Adam's got a question for us. He says, do you believe that some investigators are selling out by appearing on ghost hunt shows?
um I basically think that there's a lot of backstabbing going out there. Like obviously some jealous teams don't like what other teams are doing, so they'll try and step all over them to get what they want. I've seen that firsthand. Not mentioning no names, but like I say, yeah, I do think people do sell out because obviously the fame thing is like really, really prevalent out there now. Like people want to like that. Not everybody, of course, but there is people out there that just want to be in it for the fame. I know a few people that's done that. So yeah, I do believe that people do sell out. I wouldn't, not personally. I'm in it for the research. That's all I want to do. How about you, Michael?
So, for me, I would say it's probably a small few do sell out because they get caught up in the excitement of people, recognizing them and getting, their face out there and everything. But I would say there is a majority of the others because I know a lot of people who have been on shows that are super nice, still in the paranormal field, doing their own thing. And so I would say you can do the ghost shows, and you just have to watch that you don't get caught up in all the hype of it. That's my personal take.
Cool.
And so Matt A is asking, what are both your views on interdimensional beings, and do you think they travel through portals?
Yeah, well, personally, my opinion is like I think that's some UFO. Well, possibly some UFOs or interdimensional. I don't think really they come from outer space. It's a long way to travel, and like I say, for them to just appear and disappear, it's got to be like some sort of like portal or something like that. So yeah, I do believe in them.
I would say interdimensional. There are stargates they can travel through. There's portals. They have crafts that can traverse time and space. And so I would say definitely is a possibility. And I've experienced portals, not the ones like you're referring to where you walk through other stuff, but energy portals. And so I would definitely say it is definitely possible that that's how they travel, but at the same time, I also look at if they have the ability to open a portal, they obviously have other ways and means to travel, so I would not limit them, but I would not be opposed to traveling to other places as well, so who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, Kel. Here's a good one I came up with right
Oh
for
God.
you.
Okay, come on. Who is with it?
What advice do you have for shy people wanting to open up, and meaning like podcasting or going into the paranormal field?
Oh, you mean shy people like me?
I'm shy
Well,
too, but yeah.
yeah. I'm not shy in normal life, real life. I've worked on the doors for 20 years and thought to be a bouncer and stuff like that. You can't be a shy person, so I'm quite outgoing and I'm got a sense of humor and stuff like that to start with. But when it comes to being in front of the camera, I just like no, shy away from it. So the best advice I got was before I started doing obviously the podcasts was to start doing little TikTok videos. So you're recording it yourself, and then obviously then you put it on there, and that's the advice I got, and I started doing that. And it was actually on TikTok when I met Stephen. So yeah, he was the one that suggested doing this is to further me camera shyness, and to be quite fair, I think I'm doing quite well
You
considering.
are.
So I mean, especially everybody that knows me knows how camera shy I am. So for me to actually do this is a big deal. But I think I'm doing well. And like I say, that's the best advice I would give to people is just keep at it and like do stupid little videos and make a fool of yourself and have a laugh along the way. That's all. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Just be yourself.
Cool.
Right? Is it my turn to ask you one?
It is. And now I'm getting worried.
I'll have to turn to my notes here because I've got a memory like a goldfish at the minute. I think it's like something that we've actually already covered this one, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you believe that spirits have consciousness, or do you think the playbacks or slips in time?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I would say it depends on the spirit you come across. Like, so when I investigated, well, hold on, I gotta backtrack because I haven't actually investigated. But when I went to visit some like battle scenes, like from the Civil War or Revolutionary War over here, I would say I'm seeing replay of time. I'm seeing them replaying their last moments, what they experienced, and everything. Now, with that being said, when I go to other locations, you can get intellectual conversation with them where they can answer questions and everything. And so I would say it's a mix of both. It just depends on what location you're at and how much trauma really was done to the land.
Okay.
Cool. So Adam is asking, Do you think poltergeist activity is due to a place or a person?
There's been loads of research to say that it's like obviously surrounds like people, especially if they're going through some sort of trauma, like adolescence and stuff like that. But I don't know. I've never really came across somewhere that's just been haunted without like it being attached to somebody. If that makes sense. So I think yeah, my answer would definitely be with they seem to be like attached to people, and they're very very short. We do know that for like a fact. They don't last that long. Is so
I would say for me, I think poltergeist, it depends on the land. Because if there was like a lot of murder and a lot of like crime and a lot of, hardship and a lot of all these negative forces just compiling, I think you could get a poltergeist starts to form that feeds on that and could, in sense, kind of keep himself alive and prey on people that are coming. But also at the same time, I agree with you that it is also depending on the person, because if you're one of those that's highly susceptible to stuff and you are quick to react to stuff and you're giving them everything they need, then yeah, they're gonna latch onto you and be like, "This is greatness."
yeah. You got
So
any more questions? Is there any more in the comments?
there's a few more. There's one from I'm not sure who that says, "How much reality should we take from the true stories turned movies?"
Well, as me and you both know, we've interviewed Mike Heston Rogers, and that was obviously based on a true story, Fire in the Sky. But according to Mike, that a lot of it was basically just made up. So I don't take like any of the movies like at face value. I wouldn't just like take that as research. But yeah,
Yeah. So I was actually talking with my mom about this the other day. Is even the most craziest, wildest stories that are made up. There's still an ounce of truth in there. So the fun part about being the paranormal investigators is finding out what is that nugget of truth in this wild and embellished story. So there's always some truth in there, but probably if it's been made into a movie by Hollywood, you're probably going to find it's, like Kel said, majority made up and a little bit of truth to it.
yeah.
All right, so Nickname is asking, what's our favorite book or audiobook?
I'll go first for this one. I'm a little bit of a book geek as well. I've like read everything on the War of the Roses, the Tudors, even down to Philippa Gregory's books on the Tudors and stuff like that. I love them. At the minute, there's a TV program that I'm watching. Well, I've watched it about several times. Outlander.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm reading the books on them, and oh my god, they're absolutely amazing. I've read like down to the Harry Potter, all show myself up now. The Twilight sagas, I read them. Like I say, I'm crazy for history, anything to do with history, and I'm usually reading that. So I've read all of the oh god, what was that show called? Oh, I can't remember the name of it. The one with the ice wall. Can you remember? Do you know what it was called?
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, that's it. I've read them books as well. Um, yeah, so like I say, at the minute I'm reading Outlander, but then I'm also reading that Spare by Prince Harry. So I
Now,
sort of
fun
like,
fact, Outlander is about to launch its new season this month.
yep. It's actually being filmed. Obviously at the place I'm going to. I'm going to North Carolina in October, so hopefully I get to see where it gets filmed.
That would be super cool.
Mm,
For
yeah.
me, I would say sort of like Kel. I like history books, but my favorite is mythologies, and I love to read cultures mythology. But then I also like, I'm hoping I pronounce his author's name right. I believe it's Rick Riordan, who does like Magnus Chase and does all types of books of what would happen if the gods were real and the had descendants, or all of this stuff was that we read about in mythology was real. And it's like it really is cool to think about that and read and get caught up in those stories. um, I also like the stories. They were there started being turned into movies, was like the Lightning Thief, where you had the demigods, the children of the gods, being having to band together. So I like those stories where it's historical truth, but embellished a little bit because I don't know, there could be children of the gods walking around and we just don't know it.
Hmm. Could be. We could be the descendants of the gods for all we know.
Well, actually, funny thing you say that. I actually do have ancestors named Thor and Sif, who
Wow.
are the children of Odin. And it's like, I'm like looking at that going, wow. And the stories are so almost identical that it's like, wow, I can't really think, is this possible? And then I'm like, no. All right. So before I go to my question, I found one in the chat. I hope I didn't miss any. If I did, I apologize. But Jojo is asking, what do you think shadow people are?
Do you want to go first or do I?
I'll let you go first on that one.
I haven't got a clue because the ones that I've seen like on different documentaries and stuff like that, they seem to be very, very fast and like sort of know what they're doing. They've got consciousness. There's like theories that they come from obviously a different dimension and stuff like that. So I would probably tend to stick with that sort of theory more than any other. So Michael?
So for me, I would say shadow people that I've come across are dimensional being, because I can travel on the astral plane, and so those of you that are familiar with that know there is areas known as the shadow zone, and they are populated, and that's where I think shadow people can come from. And I also think, though, there are some shadow people that are just so like negatively energized that they don't have any light in them, so they appear as shadow. And so it could be that, and it could just be another thing is, someone recently passed, they don't know how to generate enough energy to make themselves appear as they are, and so they may appear as a shadow. So I'm one of those that just because I see a shadow person, I don't necessarily jump to that's a negative. I always got to look at how am I feeling, what's the situation, what's going on around.
Can I just say I've just spotted Mr. Lavity's in the comments, so just want to say hello to Brian, and we've got you on here next week. Poor Brian.
Okay. Oh, I just came across a comment. My cousin was asked a question that I read, and so that's cool. I didn't realize it was hers. So, all right. So, oh, here's a fun one for us. What do you think of the movie Paranormal Activity?
Oh my god, I used to love that their movies. They scare the life out of you, and I used to love that. But yeah, the they give you a hell of a fright. That's all I'm saying. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say Paranormal Activity, the movies, you would have to seriously piss off a spirit to get to that level. So
That would be
I think
awesome.
it's mostly hype and just them trying to scare people away from the paranormal field.
I just like I say, I think it's a brilliant movie because, like I say, the entertainment value of it, and like obviously, I took my daughter when she was younger to go and see it, and yeah, we're both scared the crap out of each other basically. And
Yeah,
she wouldn't like stay in the house when I went to go and pick my ex partner up from work. She was like, "No, I'm coming with you." So yeah, the scare factor is amazing, absolutely amazing. If you had
yeah.
like investigations like that, oh my god,
Well, that and like having I know John Zappas with Haunted Collector, there are objects that may be in a house that are haunted and that's what's causing it. And so I would
hmm,
say yes, that is a true part of paranormal activity is there's always was something they would find in the house that was like the trigger object. But yeah, it's mostly hype, but it is still some truth to it.
it's still a good film. It's still, like I say, it's entertaining.
I think what are they like five now of them?
Oh God, I lost count. Yeah. God, I think my daughter was about like 16, 15, 16. The last one I took her to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think she was allowed to be in, but I think like we just sort of exaggerated the truth with her age.
Yep. And so I just realized, Kel, we are actually at our hour. And
Already?
there's still
Wow.
some questions in the chat, and I still got a couple of them, like maybe four. Do we want to take the time and answer them
Yeah.
out real quick?
Of course, for me as well.
All right. So my question to you being, so this is kind of the premise of our show. You being in the UK versus me being in the US.
Yep.
Do you feel the vast history where you are has an impact on the paranormal activity in the area?
Obviously, because our history goes back quite a long way, we do seem to have fair amount of hauntings. But we're only a small place as well compared to you guys. So you seem to have the same amount of hauntings as what we do, even though we've got more history, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, sorry, my brain's just went blank. I'm having one of those days again.
No,
Um,
it's interesting though you point that out that yeah, we have the same number of hauntings. We
hmm,
just don't have hauntings going back as far
yeah,
because
but
we're younger.
you are a bigger place, so it's like obviously you've got more areas that you have had stuff happen. So like where all our hauntings are like fitted into a tiny little place. Like England's like what? Nearly the size of some of your states. So
Yeah.
yeah, so like I say the paranormal amount of paranormal like reports and stuff like that would probably be around about the same as what you get, even though we've got more history.
All right, cool.
I'm surprised I haven't been told off the night about not like investigating Hadrian's Hall.
We're not done yet. No, I'm just kidding. Nope, I wasn't gonna bring it up this time.
All right, okay, thanks. Um, you've had UFO experiences. Do you want to tell her about that?
So my UFO experiences have been where like one of them was I was driving and something just inside me said look up and I looked up and I would see like it would be a dark black sky because we have a lot of lights in our areas, so we don't see a lot of stars. But there was this one object, and then I'd go down the highway a little bit, and that object would be in the exact same spot on my windshield. And so I was like, all right, I gotta know, is this, a spot on my windshield or is something going on? And I got out of my car and I could still see it. And so I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm seeing a UFO just hovering there. And another experience I had was I even brought my mom out to look at this one was So above my house, because I lived nearby at the time, there was a bunch of clouds. Just over my house, the rest of the sky was clear, and all of a sudden there would be red flashes, yellow flashes, and I'm looking up and seeing this. Don't hear a single ounce of thunder, no sound whatsoever, but the lights flashing. And I mean, I know ball lightning doesn't look like that. I mean, it looks like literally something just hit something. And I looked at my mom and I go, there's a battle up there because those aren't impact shots. Like something like blew up on something or hit something. So that was a really cool experience to see.
Wow. Whereabouts was this? Which state was this in?
Texas.
Texas. Hmm. So have you had any more apart from that one?
I've that I can remember, I've had about 5 of them, but mainly there are a lot of just looking up and seeing something hovering in the sky and not moving. And I even photographed one to where it was above a parking lot and you could see a light pole off for the highway and this black dot or kind of looking shape. And like I broke down my stuff for work at the time, go and I take another photo and it's in the same spot. And I'm like,
Wow.
I know planes can hover and, are slow moving, but I was like, this was just like maybe 5, 6 minutes. That plane, if it was a plane, would have moved.
Yeah.
It was in the exact same spot.
Wow.
Okay, so Jojo wants to know what is our favorite paranormal film?
God. There's loads of them. I mean, if you can class some as cryptid films, like going back to the 80s, my favorite like horror movie was Rowhead Rex. Um,
Wow.
but paranormal film, it's like I used to like the things like The Conjuring, but then obviously they brought other films out like Annabelle and that, and I'm not really into them. So I think it's got to be the old classics. I like the classic movies, like zombie films, especially like the original Day of the Dead and stuff like that. But are they classed as paranormal?
See, and I'm wondering if mine are because mine would be like Dune and Stargate. Only because they deal with topics of like, that were not, they're on the fringe, so to speak. And that's paranormal to me is anything that's not the mainstream normal. And so, yeah, I'd say those are two that pop into my head as what I would say are like my types. Let's see. I'm way behind in the chat room. I'm so sorry. Uh, well, while I look
Hi,
for,
Austin.
hmm?
I've just seen hello to Austin. He's just popped
Oh,
in there.
hello. So while I'm looking to see if there's a question in here that I might have missed, do you want to ask your next one?
Yeah. It's basically, I think we've already covered this anyway. Do you believe that UFOs come from outer space or they're interdimensional beings? But I think we've actually covered that, haven't we?
I think we have.
So I'll go to the next one. What's your opinions on wormholes, portals, and stargates?
Ooh. So, I'm so glad this came up. Wormholes, yes, do exist, and I believe are able to be created with energy. And so I do believe that portals, wormholes, and stargates are actually real science,
Mm-hmm.
but our understanding of how they work is where they become paranormal because I am a believer of when people are doing stuff like messing with Ouija boards. They're opening up portals to another dimension, bringing stuff in. And if they don't know what they're doing, they're either leaving that open or they're leaving whatever they brought in here instead of sending it back and closing it. And so those are both really dangerous things to do. And that's why I'm a huge proponent of don't go doing techniques of anything you don't understand truly. Just because you see it on TV or in a movie does not make it something that's for everybody. There are really rules to a lot of the stuff that we do, and they're not often spoken. And maybe that's on us as paranormal investigators that we don't share the rules of when we open up stuff to do techniques and invite in that we are closing it and asking everything to leave in our own way. And so that's on us, maybe, but definitely don't just buy something off the shelf and think, oh, this was done on TV and I can do it too, because you never know what you're going to bring in.
Yeah.
And Stargates are energy based, so I feel like the right energy will open it and allow it to be used. And if you don't have the right intention, I think that it can be locked out to you and it won't work. And so you'll be like, doesn't work. It's not real.
Hmm.
That's my take.
Yeah. We've got a question of Brian Laverty. What has been the best experience in paranormal or UFOs? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Ooh. So, best experience with UFOs, I would say, is what I was just talking about with the what looked like a battle in space. With the paranormal, I would say is at Old Park in Fort Walters, where I was getting my first EVPs, and I could tell they were not really, something that, I could fake because I kept going. And I didn't realize I'd got them until I went home and reviewed the footage. So to me, whenever I break those out, I always show like I'm asking something, it happens, and I ask another question, and the question doesn't correlate to what's the answer. So it's like clearly I'm showing, yep, I didn't hear this. So this is not me, not anybody that was around me. So here you go. How about you?
I think I've already told you a few of mine over the shows that we've had. I mean, I've seen that a full body apparition of the man in the tattoo studio that I owned. That I thought he was just somebody that was come to fix the alarms, and when I turned around, he was there, and then he disappeared. There was that one. The experience I had when I was 9 years old, when I saw the little girl hunched up against the wall, crying, and I thought it was my friend because we're playing hide and seek in the dark. And then when I was working on the doors, I had to go down to do a toilet check. And as I came out, I heard the popping sound to my left hand side. And as I turned, there was a figure. It was just a shadow figure. Couldn't see any features or nothing. It was just there. And that's when I decided to, obviously, I got a fright and went to run up the stairs and face planted the floor. So yeah, they've definitely been my best paranormal experiences. I haven't had a UFO experience personally. I've seen some stuff in the sky when I used to live up in the countryside. But my parents were the ones that had a UFO experience on the night that I was conceived, apparently. So no more said about that.
Ooh, that could explain so many things.
Yeah, that's probably why my brothers for years called us an alien.
So before I go to the next question, I just want to acknowledge. So, Corrine, I see you're coming from Seadrift. I know Seadrift. I have a friend in Seadrift. So that is super cool to know now. I know two people from there. So shout out to Cedric, Texas. And let's see. Oh, okay. My next question is, what is your goal as a paranormal investigator? I think you've kind of hit on that though.
Yeah, it's all about the research for me. Yeah, that's what my goal is. Obviously, to get like the stories of the past out there as well. Like
Yeah,
I say, there's
so
not that many people that know. I mean, like with me, it's like I want to know like where I live and stuff like that, the whole history of the place, and it's like I'll go into rants talking to people. Well, not necessarily rants, but like I'll go on and on and on about the history of certain places, and you can see people's eyes rolling and stuff like that. And people are not really interested. Normal people, anyway, are not really interested in the history of the places, or even like paranormal places, like haunted places and stuff like that.
yeah.
So with me, it's the research and getting the story, the history, and stuff like that out there.
And so, with that being said, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years as a paranormal investigator and podcaster?
I would like to see the podcast get a little bit more recognition, and obviously, get a little bit more popular. But as I say, I want to go to the States, do some investigation. I'm not one of these people that want to be famous, obviously, hence the camera shyness. So the fame things I don't bother about, but I would like to see where podcasts do pretty well. But just want to, you know what I mean, do more research and just keep on going. And so in the next 3 years, I would just want to do more of what I've been doing recently and stuff like that. So
All right,
does that answer your question?
it does.
um, I have got another question for you here, but I can't seem to find it. I don't know if I asked you this. What made you decide to become a reverend, and how did you get into it?
Okay, so I became a reverend because I got a Reiki mastership. And so Reiki is doing energy work on people. And so being in Texas and in America, a lot of people get a little touchy about, what can and cannot be done. And if they don't like something, they tend to react and maybe, get lawyers involved or something. And so we found out by having a reverend's license, you can do energy work and they can't go after you personally, but they can go after your
Wow.
license. And so it was the reverend's license was more to protect me as an energy practitioner than faith. So that's where the reverend's license for me comes in.
Cool. Um, I think we've got another question there. Can you find
Uh,
it?
Actually, there's a couple, but I'm going to go to ecstasy of thinking, I think is how you pronounce that. What is your take on sleep paralysis? Is it something more than just waking up while dreaming, you think?
With me, I don't really know because there has been stories about people having paranormal experiences while in sleep paralysis. There's a lot of people that's had like UFO experiences when they've been in there as well, or abduction. So, I mean, personally, I haven't had it done. I've never had that, so I wouldn't know like what to take on it. It might just be like part of your mind that cuts off obviously your body from to stop you from moving in your sleep, like people said. But you never know. I haven't got a clue. Like I say, it's interesting
Yeah.
though.
It
Like
is
look,
interesting because I would say paralysis could be, your body's just experiencing something it's afraid of to the point that it's entering sheer fear. But at the same time, yeah, like you're saying, is a lot of the experiences that I've heard about and claims are always around UFO abduction or thoughts of that. And so I really would have to say, paranormal wise, it's probably more in the UFO category of the paranormal than like spirits. However, I have heard of spirits that try to get your attention and will get on top of you, and therefore you can't move. But I think that's a different type of paralysis. I'm not sure. That is something that's not in my frame of reference, so that's the best answer I can give.
Yeah, I've heard of things like succubuses and incubuses, like obviously leaving you incapacitated like that way. So and having the way with you.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean that you could like say it's something to do with that, but you never know.
Yeah. So my last question I came up with for you, Kel, actually is one that's kind of interesting for you. I'm really curious your answer to this one. Do
Okay.
you feel that social media helps or hurts the paranormal field in your opinion?
Hmm, that's a good one. Um, I mean, it has helped me like connecting with different people in the field and that, and then you get to learn a lot more. Um, but there is a lot of fake out there. Obviously, people just doing it for the recognition, like I've already touched on it before. So it's like I think that the fake videos are not like that's online and stuff like that. That's not helping anybody. But there's a lot of people still believe them, even if they're like obviously fake. There's a lot of people out there like on TikTok and that say, "Oh my god, that's amazing," and it's like it's obviously fake. You can see the wires on it. So I think that part of it actually like does like harm the paranormal field. But like I say, I mean, it's helped me connect with so many people that I wouldn't have been able to connect with if there wasn't social media. And that part I am grateful for because a lot of my friends are from all over the world. Obviously I'm in the UK, and my friends are in the States. So yeah, I do. I'm a little bit like split between that one, but that is definitely a good question. What do you think about that, Michael?
I think it's kind of like you said. It's good in that it's bringing awareness to it,
Hmm.
and even the TV shows, bring awareness to the paranormal and equipment usage, how to use it, or how to, understand what you're seeing. But at the same time, there are a lot of people out there who are making stuff happen. And
Yeah,
I always take the stance of when people say that to me and going, well, you faked this or that, I'm like, why would I fake it when the real stuff is so much more interesting to
exactly.
watch than the fake?
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, and one example of that is, you always see on the shows there's a wire attached to a door and it closes, either slams or slowly. And so I was like in shock when I was at a hospital where the windows were open, and I talk about how the windows are open. And this cabinet door, one set of cabinet doors, there's three hanging. All of them are slightly open, but only one starts to close, opens itself back up, starts to close. And I'm like, it's not the wind because I'll be standing right in front of the window, turn, and I'm like, there's no breeze, but the door is moving. So to
Hmm.
me, I'm like, this is something I can't explain. Yes, you could say I'm faking it because the door is moving, open and closed, but none of the other ones move. And I make point of showing that in the video of here's another door next to it that has not moved. And there was a book that would a couple of pages would start to change or try to change, and it's like, wow, this is so cool. And then I'm thinking in my head going, yeah, I could totally do this or that, but I'm like, this is just so cool on its own right. that I'm getting to witness this.
Wow.
So, yeah, I would say, yeah, it's definitely like you're saying, it's a 50-50. It's just in how it's used.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people I don't think that use it right. Like I say, they put out the fake stuff, and there's just no point to it. What's it achieving? It just makes everybody else like in the field look bad when they do things like that. So
Yeah. So, Kareen, it's not my cousin. My cousin actually lives in another state. And so it is just a friend that I met online who I investigate with sometimes. And so I'm hoping to connect with her and do another investigation where we can share it online. Her name is Corey. So that's all I will share on that. So she doesn't get bombarded by people and trying to keep your privacy as well. So, do you have any other questions for me, Cal?
no, I think that's it. Because I mean, we've covered most of them. There was some I was going to ask that obviously were asked by the comments, so we've covered
Yeah.
them.
I think there was one in the comments I missed. I think I just saw. Yeah, Jojo is asking, and we'll make this the last one
Okay, cool.
from the audience. Do you think there's a difference between Dogman and I'm thinking when she says "weres" meaning werewolves? If so, what?
I don't have a clue. I don't know what Dogman is. Is that an American thing?
Actually, it's a global.
Is it?
It was thought to be American, and then I found out it's in like at least 4 continents. So it is not
Right.
isolated to us. It's in Europe. It's in, I believe, Australia. It's in North America, and so yeah, the Dogman gets around.
Yeah, I mean, Jojo's put down that is werewolf. Yeah, I believe in obviously the werewolf. It's obviously I think that's some of the like folklore and stuff like that. Like there is a little bit of truth into stuff like that. But I've never personally heard of the dog man. I haven't got a clue where it is. So obviously it's a man, that's a dog. So I would have thought it would have been the same thing.
No, sorry, I'm just kind of laughing at the comments. Is everyone in the UK is going? The UK has a Dogman. It's in
Did
your
it?
neck of the woods,
Oh
Cal.
my god, I've never heard of it.
North Yorks,
I know
Flixton.
we have a Yeti like up here apparently in Bowlam Lake, but I've never heard of a dogman up here. I'll have to research into that one for the next show.
So funny thing is I was actually on Andy's show, our friend Andy
Yeah.
Booth, and somebody asked me about Dogman, and I had to say I'd never heard of it, and they were talking about the Dogman in Texas, and I ended up doing a video on it, and that's how I learned it is global.
Right.
And the Dogman, I was reading all the claims because I found a website that has all the claims of Dogman sightings and experiences, and it comes out in daytime, nighttime, cold, in the hot. So it's like there's no rhyme or reason. Daytime, nighttime. It's like I could not figure out a pattern to the Dogman to go, okay, if I go at this time of day, in this weather climate, in this kind of area, I can have a higher chance of seeing a Dogman than anywhere else. But it was like, yeah, I was like, I could not find anything. It is so random and of experiences, and somebody did kind of a view of the dog man next to a werewolf, like how people describe them and everything. And it seems like the dog man's a little bit shorter than a werewolf, but they almost look alike. And so that kind of makes sense though, because canines do come from wolves. They're in the same species.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that it's just like a smaller cousin of the werewolf. And
Yeah.
I mean, just like you brought up Yeti, is there's Sasquatch,
Sasquatch,
Yeti, Domino
Bigfoot.
Snowman. They're all different sizes. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I've never heard of the Dogman, and I'm going to have to research that one now. So, I mean, I'm not really, really big in cryptids as much as what I am the paranormal. So,
right.
but is cryptids paranormal, or is it classed as supernatural? I don't know.
I think cryptids are paranormal because they're a species that has not truly been identified as science as to who it is.
Mm,
And so I always define paranormal as everything that doesn't fit in the normal, quote, normal world is
yeah,
paranormal. And so by that view, yeah, cryptids, can definitely fall in the paranormal
paranormal. Yeah.
until they're
The way I see it is supernatural to me is usually like angels and demons and things like that. You know, like gods and stuff like that. I would class them personally. I would class them as supernatural. But paranormal, ghosts, UFOs. Yeah, I would probably agree with the cryptids being in the paranormal context.
well, seeing I'm actually of the ballpark of the supernatural falls in the paranormal as well.
Hmm.
Because like you were saying, the gods, angels, all of that, those could be beings, interdimensional beings that we just identify as this, and so therefore
Yeah, that's
paranormal.
true. Hmm. That's true. Interesting though. It's an interesting topic anyway.
Yep, but wow, we actually did a 2 hour show.
What? Really?
Or
Well,
wait,
nearly, not that far off, but wow. And we've still got like
no.
comments coming in.
I think the chat room's gone into a conversation of its own at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if we've got any more questions anyway. So
Um, I don't think we do, but yeah, and so actually you're right because I forget this one starts at the half hour,
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah,
we're an hour and a half in, so
yeah. Well,
cool.
anyway, I just think I want to like obviously say thank you to everybody that's joined tonight, joined in with this conversation. Even though I've lost my train of thought a few times, but that's not my fault. I'm just blaming somebody else. But
Uh,
anyway, with like if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, we've got a new intro and a new outro, and we've got the music that was done by Matt Atkinson. So that was the special thing that we had for tonight, the launch of that. And at the beginning of the show, we were doing really well, and then Michael realised he hadn't went live. So we had to do it all over again. So I think that's like knocked me brain into doing somersaults tonight.
yeah, but also there is one thing you reminded me that I totally forgot to call out was we are on more networks now.
Yeah, well,
So
exciting.
you all know you can find us obviously on Facebook and YouTube and
Hmm.
eTalk, but we've actually gone to where the next day, so today's episode will most likely appear tomorrow on Spotify, iHeart Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts. So
Wow.
we're getting out there, and
Yeah.
so
Well, that remember you asked us what my goal is for the next 3 years. You see, you're getting with that,
yeah,
pushing me out
and
everywhere.
I gotta say though that it's in thanks to everyone who comes in the chat room too and
Yeah.
supports us, and so thank you, Nickname and Adam and Jojo and Corrine and everybody else who had
And Matt
questions.
and Mr. Lavity. He goes mad when I call him Mr. Lavity, but yeah, Brian. That like I say, there's been a load of people in tonight asking questions. So we couldn't do this if it wasn't for you coming in. So I really, really thank you very much for doing this.
Yep, and I mean, like you saw, we had questions for each other, but it was thanks to you guys that it made the show a little bit more fun. I say a little bit, probably a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And this was an experiment that Kell and I were talking about doing, and so
Mm-hmm.
we were glad to make it work, and that it seems that you guys like it. So
Yeah.
you never know, we may do another one.
Yeah, it was basically the like obviously for everybody to get to know us, because usually we have like different guests on every time that will come on. So we thought, okay, we'll put a little bit of our stories out there. So we set ourselves each other questions, and that was what we did. And like I say, we use asking questions. It's been an absolutely amazing night again. I really thank you guys for it.
So thank you, everyone. And without further ado,
Oh, hang on. Before we close up, just want to say we're all back to a normal schedule next week. And we'll have Brian Laverty as our guest next week. Obviously, this week was a special one-off because last week I was in hospital. So, so back to a normal schedule next week.
yes, and thank you to everyone for understanding why we did not have a show in May. It was not intentional.
Yeah.
But we're glad you guys stuck with us. And so, without further ado, as Kel mentioned, we have a new intro and an outro. So, to send us out, I will start the outro.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.